The redesigned US $100 note. It only takes a few seconds to check the new $100 note and know it's real. To protect your money and stay ahead of the counterfeiters, the U.S. government has developed two advanced security features for the redesigned $100 note, the result of more than a decade of research. These new features are in addition to a number of familiar and highly effective security features used in previous designs. Learning about the latest security features will help you quickly and easily distinguish real notes from fake ones. But before we take a closer look at these features, remember that it's not necessary to trade in your old design $100 notes for new ones. All U.S. currency remains legal tender, no matter when it was issued. So why does the government redesign currency? With the addition of new and advanced security features, the government works to stay ahead of counterfeiters and keep counterfeiting low. In essence, protecting your money. The two new and easy-to-use security features in the redesigned $100 note give you a simple and subtle way to verify if the note is real. These can be easily checked by simply tilting the note. On the front of the $100 note, you will see the 3D security ribbon. This is the blue ribbon that contains images of bells and 100s. By tilting the note back and forth while focusing on the blue ribbon, you will see the bells appear to both move and change to 100s. Tilting the note back and forth makes the bells and 100s appear to move side to side. Tilting it side to side makes them appear to move up and down. Note that the 3D security ribbon is woven into the paper, not printed on it, and does not add to the overall thickness of the $100 note. This ribbon uses nearly 1 million microlenses to create the illusion that the bells and 100s are moving. We call this the 3D security ribbon because the bells and 100s seem to float above the ribbon, making the ribbon appear three-dimensional. The other new advanced security feature is called the bell in the inkwell. Look on the front of the note for a color-shifting bell inside a copper inkwell. Both the inkwell and the bell are copper-colored until you move the note. By tilting the $100 note, you will see the bell change from copper to green. This effect makes the bell seem to appear and disappear within the inkwell. Like the 3D security ribbon, the bell in the inkwell feature is difficult for counterfeiters to effectively reproduce. These two security features, in addition to some features used in previous designs, will protect U.S. currency and help you easily distinguish real notes from fake ones. In addition to the two new security features, the redesigned $100 note includes a number of other design and security features that help prevent the note from being counterfeited. Let's take a look at them. First, the note contains a portrait watermark. By holding the note to a light source, you will see a faint image of Benjamin Franklin in the blank space to the right of his portrait. This portrait watermark is a part of the paper and can be seen from either side of the note. When you hold the note to a light source, you should also see an embedded security thread that runs up and down just to the left of Benjamin Franklin's portrait. The letters USA and the numeral 100 appear in an alternating pattern and can be seen in red along the thread on both sides of the note. This thread glows pink under ultraviolet light. Next, tilt the note, and you'll see that the numeral 100 in the lower right corner of the front of the note shifts from copper to green. Traditional raised printing can be felt throughout the $100 note. For example, if you move your finger up and down Benjamin Franklin's shoulder on the left side of the note, it should feel rough to the touch, the result of the enhanced printing process used to create the image. The redesigned $100 note also incorporates microprinting in several places. Because of their size, microprinted words are hard to replicate. Look carefully to see "The United States of America" microprinted on Benjamin Franklin's jacket collar. USA 100 microprinted around the blank space containing the portrait watermark. 100 USA microprinted along the golden quill. And USA's microprinted at the base of the portrait. Now let's take a look at some features on the back of the $100 note. First, look for a large gold 100. This numeral helps those with visual impairments distinguish the $100 note from other denominations. The back of the note also features a new vignette of Independence Hall, featuring the rear rather than the front of the building. Both the vignette on the back of the note and the portrait on the front have been enlarged, and the oval that previously appeared around both images has been removed. In addition to these design and security features, the $100 note maintains the traditional look of U.S. currency by representing historical American images. For example, phrases from the Declaration of Independence and an image of the quill pen used to sign this historic document can be found to the right of the portrait. Remember, it is not necessary to trade in old designed $100 notes for new ones. All U.S. currency remains legal tender, regardless of when it was issued. Now that you've learned about some of the security features in the new $100 note, let's examine some of the other characteristics of the note that can help you distinguish between a genuine and counterfeit note. We'll explore additional layers of complexity in the new $100 note design that make it difficult for counterfeiters to produce high-quality fakes. Equally as important, we will show you the slight variations that can naturally occur in genuine new $100 notes, so you don't mistake a genuine new $100 note as counterfeit. The new $100 note is produced in high volume, which can result in some slight but natural variations in the location and appearance of certain currency design elements. Let's start with the new blue 3D security ribbon. It's visible only from the front of the note and is woven into the paper, not printed on it. In a genuine new $100 note, the ribbon is only 23 microns thick. That's so thin that even the most sophisticated counterfeiter would find it extremely difficult to replicate. If you notice that the ribbon on a note feels too thick, take a closer look at all the note's security features to determine whether it's genuine. On each new $100 note, the ribbon weaves underneath the surface of the paper in 3 places, and there are bridges of paper in those 3 places. If you hold the note to light, you can see that the 3D security ribbon is one continuous ribbon, which surfaces 4 times on the front of the note. On the middle bridge, you'll see a portion of the word July from the July 4th, 1776 date on which the Declaration of Independence was signed. From note to note, there are variations in just how much of the word July you see in this location. And those variations are normal in genuine notes. There are also natural variations in exactly where the 3D security ribbon will appear on the front of the $100 note. While this ribbon will always appear to the right of Benjamin Franklin's portrait, exactly where it is located in the area between the portrait and the inkwell can vary slightly. Next, let's look at the bell in the inkwell variations. The space between the bell and the edges of the inkwell can be slightly different from note to note. This is normal. Similarly, you may see slight variance in the exact placement of the portrait watermark within the blank space to the right of Benjamin Franklin's portrait. In a genuine note, the portrait watermark will always be a faint image of Benjamin Franklin that is created from the cotton and linen fibers in the paper and not printed on it, and you can only see it when the note is held to light. It is normal to see slight differences from note to note in the distance between the watermark and the edges of the blank space it occupies. In addition, you may see slight variations in the features of the portrait watermark, but it nonetheless should be recognizable as the same Benjamin Franklin whose image is represented in the portrait prominently featured on the front of the note. The location of the Department of the Treasury seal, which is located to the right of the portrait, can also vary slightly. The slight natural variance in where the Treasury seal gets printed can impact the visual appearance of the seal. These small degrees of variation are a natural result of the manufacturing process and are not necessarily an indication of a counterfeit note. Slight variations in the location of the security thread are also normal in genuine $100 notes. The thread should always be to the left of the portrait, but it's normal to see small differences in its exact location. Let's take a deeper look at the security thread. It can only be seen when the note is held to light. When you shine a UV light on or underneath a genuine new $100 note, the security thread glows pink. In fact, all recent designs of US notes, with the exception of the $1 and $2 bills, have a security thread that glows a different color under UV light. The $5 note glows blue. The $10 note glows orange. The $20 note glows green. And the $50 note glows yellow. While an authentic new $100 note will always glow pink when illuminated by UV light, what you see on the glowing security thread can vary from note to note. Here's what you need to know. If you're holding a genuine, redesigned $100 note in front of a UV light, in other words, if the UV light is transmitted from behind the note, you'll see the letters USA and the numeral 100 in an alternating pattern along the thread. However, more often than not, UV light equipment used to check currency features is configured so that the light shines down on the note rather than from behind it. In this case, what you see will vary. On some genuine new $100 notes, you might see the letters USA and numeral 100s. On other notes, you'll simply see a pattern of fluorescent pink dots on the security thread. This variance is normal, and what you see will depend on which side of the thread you are viewing. Another note about the new 100 and its reaction to ultraviolet light. US currency paper is UV dull and formulated not to glow in ultraviolet light. Unlike the security thread, which does glow when illuminated by UV light, the currency paper itself should not glow. So if you illuminate a note with UV light and the whole note glows, you may have a counterfeit. Make sure you check the other security features before making this determination. Now let's explore some other elements of the new $100 note that can help you authenticate genuine notes and detect possible counterfeits. First, let's look at the paper. Cash handlers the world over describe genuine US currency as having a texture and feel that is quite recognizable and unique. The uniqueness of this texture and feel is even more noticeable on the new $100 note. US currency paper is composed of cotton and linen using a unique formula. This unique paper, along with the traditional intaglio printing process, gives each genuine US currency note its distinct texture. For example, move your finger up and down Benjamin Franklin's shoulder. The intaglio printing in this area has been particularly enhanced and should feel rough to the touch. Another unique characteristic of genuine US currency paper is the tiny red and blue fibers embedded throughout. Often counterfeiters try to simulate these fibers by printing tiny red and blue lines on their paper. Close inspection reveals, however, that on most counterfeit notes, the lines are printed on the surface, not embedded in the paper. As you use these tools to determine if a note is counterfeit, keep in mind that the most important tool in spotting a counterfeit note is your expertise and knowledge. Remember, if you doubt that the $100 note that you're about to accept is genuine, just take a few seconds to check a combination of security features, such as the 3D security ribbon, the bell in the inkwell, and the portrait watermark, to verify the note is genuine. Don't assume that because your note is a bit different that you're holding a counterfeit. It may in fact be that what you're seeing is a natural variance of the features you're focusing on and an expected result of the manufacturing process. At the same time, as we've just explained, other variations, such as a lack of texture or a note that glows in its entirety when exposed to ultraviolet light, can be cause for suspicion. If you are in law enforcement or work in a financial institution, register on www.usdollars.usss.gov to learn even more about U.S. currency. Here you can search potentially counterfeit notes and also receive details about counterfeits in circulation. This database helps the U.S. Secret Service gather information used for counterfeit investigations. At usdollars.usss.gov, you'll be asked to look at specific identifiers on a note you're checking for authenticity. Let's go over these identifiers so that you know where to find them on the new $100 note. The serial number is a unique combination of 11 numbers and letters that identify each individual $100 note. The serial number is printed in green ink and can be found in 2 locations on the $100 note: above the Federal Reserve seal to the left of the portrait, and above the color-shifting 100 on the bottom right side of the note. You will also be asked for the Federal Reserve Bank indicators on the note. This is a letter and number combination corresponding to a specific Federal Reserve Bank. This letter and number combination is printed in black ink below the serial number on the left side of the note. The $100 note also includes numbers and letters which provide information about the printing plate used to create each note. You can find these identifiers on the top left, top right, and back of the $100 note. The series year is located between the bell in the inkwell feature and the color-shifting 100. The quadrant check letter and quadrant number are located on the upper right corner of the front of the note. The faceplate letter and faceplate number are located on the top left of the front of the note above the Federal Reserve note text. Finally, the back plate number can be found in the lower right corner on the back of the note. In addition to these identifiers, there could be an FW indicator on the front of the note that distinguishes a new $100 note printed in Fort Worth, Texas, from one printed in Washington, D.C. New $100 notes printed in Fort Worth have a small FW in the top left next to the faceplate letter and number. If a note does not have an FW indicator, this means it was printed in Washington, D.C. This is the first time this indicator has been included on $100 notes. The information you provide at usdollars.usss.gov helps law enforcement investigate counterfeits, so it's important to know where to look on the new $100 note for these identifiers. If you suspect you've been passed a counterfeit note, here are a few tips. First, note the characteristics of the person who attempted to pass the fake note, and if possible, write down a description of any vehicle he or she drove and the license plate number, but don't put yourself in any danger. Next, immediately contact your local police department or United States Secret Service field office. Secret Service contact numbers can be found on the Law Enforcement Interactive Map on www.newmoney.gov. The U.S. Secret Service is the law enforcement agency that investigates the counterfeiting of U.S. currency and works with law enforcement around the world to combat this crime. Write your initials and the date in the border of the suspect note. Remember to limit the handling of the note and protect it by putting it in an envelope. Only turn the note over to a police officer or a U.S. Secret Service agent. Keep in mind that once you accept a counterfeit note, you or the business you work for will suffer a financial loss. You cannot trade in a counterfeit note for a real one, and it's illegal to knowingly try to pass a counterfeit along to someone else. To protect yourself from losing money, take a few seconds to check the security features in the note before you accept it. The new $100 note includes security features that are extraordinarily difficult for counterfeiters to replicate. But that doesn't mean they won't try. Remember, counterfeit notes don't need to be 100% accurate. They just need to be good enough for people to accept them. That's why it's important for those who use U.S. currency to protect themselves by learning about the note's security features. For more information about the new $100 note and other redesigned denominations of U.S. currency, please visit www.newmoney.gov, where you will find more information and resources available for you to download and order. The new $100 note. Know its features. Know it's real.